Super Mario 3D World, the game that is every dog's worst nightmare, is a game that is pretty underappreciated, but unironically, one of Mario's greatest adventures yet. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be talking about Super Mario 3D World, a game that I have honestly grown to love over time, despite the absolute pain I endured in the Let's Play of the game I did back in November. So with that, I felt like it was appropriate to talk about 3D World, just like I did with New Super Mario Bros. Wii earlier this year. So you know what that means, time to write another video essay about a game that people do care about, unlike Luigi's Mansion. You know, nobody care about that game, but you know, everybody loves 3D World. Well, the majority, but you know, I mean, whatever. Okay, let's just get right into it. Before we talk about the game itself, of course, we gotta head back in time to learn about the history and the development of Super Mario 3D World. The story of Super Mario 3D World begins with its predecessor, Super Mario 3D Land. Super Mario 3D Land released for the Nintendo 3DS on November 3rd, 2011, and it was the messiah for the 3DS because back in 2011, the 3DS was not doing too well thanks to the absurd pricing and the lack of system sellers. Super Mario 3D Land and Mario Kart 7 came in and saved the system practically. Super Mario 3D Land performed well in sales and reviews. 3D Land combined 2D and 3D Mario into a game that is 3D but plays like a 2D one, inspired directly off the New Super Mario Bros. Series. With the success of Super Mario 3D Land, the Samurai gamers got to work on the game that would expand its ideas for a grander experience. With that, Super Mario 3D World began its development shortly after the release of Super Mario 3D Land in late 2011. From the start, Super Mario 3D World was planned for Nintendo's next home console, the Wii U. It was intended and designed to be just like the New Super Mario Bros. Series, and even during 3D Land's development, was a planned continuation. Thanks to the intended influence of the New Super Mario Bros. Series, the team early on decided they wanted to add multiplayer to the game. This was a challenge because of the camera system for the 4 players in the 3D environment. How do you do that? Sure, the cameraman usually has a plot armor, but does he have the plot armor to deal with 4 Goombas running on the screen at the same time? I don't know about that. The cat suit, the most iconic and arguably the biggest selling point of 3D World, was conceptualized early on in development. The team wanted to add abilities like an attack and climbing walls. These moves were thought up because they were targeted towards the normies and Uncle Larry, who thinks games poison the brain. I mean, come on, we all have that. We all have an Uncle Larry, right? The new gameplay ideas they came up with resulted in making it a power-up based on a cat. The game's co-director Motokuro stated, "Think about those different actions. It turned out a cat was a perfect animal that everybody knows." What the hell is a cat? The Double Cherry, another new power-up, was a last-minute addition, and it was a mistake. A level designer accidentally copied and pasted Mario, and the team was amused to see multiple Marios being controlled together, even despite the possible crash of the project. This new mechanic was rushed into the final game, since it was liked so much. With 3D World's multiplayer design in mind, the Double Cherry also was made to help solo players conquer multiplayer tasks. The developers decided to give the game free roaming world maps in contrast to the game's prior. This was done to have more freedom to locate levels and other elements in the world, so it was a high priority to add into Super Mario 3D World. During 3D World's development, Princess Peach wasn't even going to be a playable character originally. Peach became playable because it was a means to add female representation into the character roster. This idea was suggested by producer Yoshiaki Koizumi, and reasonable enough, right? But then Miyamoto himself comes in, and I kid you not, he actually said this: "I'll add that Catwoman to have a sexy side to that I wanted to see what a feline Peach would look like." Damn, I didn't know Miyamoto, the guy who made Foreman Spike, to have a thing for cat girls. Rosalina was also added to increase female representation into the roster, and because of the popularity of the Galaxy games, as well as her inclusion in Mario Kart 7. Crazily enough, Yoshi was also planned to be a playable character, but Yoshi was jumped off into the pit because His abilities were already similar to, say, Peach's floating ability or the portable piranha plants. So there was no need to add Yoshi because, I mean, what's the point? 3D World was also planned to have stereoscopic 3D, just like it being used in 3D Land, but was dropped due to the multiplayer functionality. Super Mario 3D World would officially be acknowledged in the January 2013 Nintendo Direct as the next big Mario game for the Wii U, being made by the team who made Super Mario Galaxy 1, 2, and 3D Land, foreshadowing its linear style like those said games. Though, that was it, they didn't show anything of the game itself. The game would be officially revealed at E3 2013 with the Nintendo Direct. This was the first showcase of Super Mario 3D World, and honestly, it seemed very safe and just an HD version of 3D Land. It didn't really excite people. It looked pretty bland and uninspired and lacked any sort of risk to it, any character. It wasn't the best trailer, but it did highlight its selling points, being the cat suit and its 4-player multiplayer. The trailer does have many differences to the final game, like using 3D Land sound effects, different idle animations, backgrounds, and even Captain Toad looking more like his appearances in the Galaxy games than how he would look in 3D World and ever since 3D World. In the later months, Nintendo would release new trailers, and these trailers were far better than the first from E3, and people actually got excited and hopeful for its release. And with the Wii U not doing too well, this could be the game to bump up those sales. Super Mario 3D World would be released on the Nintendo Wii U on November 21st, 2013 in Japan, November 22nd, 2013 in North America, and on November 29th, 2013 in Europe. And initially, the game sold 5.89 million copies on the Wii U, which was pretty great compared to the Wii U's actual sales. And it became the second best-selling game on the Wii U, as well as being received very well by critics and fans. Most loved the game, even going as far to say it was one of Mario's best adventures to date. However, others didn't like it due to its linear structure, and wanted another 64 or a Sunshine, but overall, it was a beloved game. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the meat of the game itself.
Super Mario 3D World!
This is the title screen of Super Mario 3D World, and it's nothing crazy admittedly, but you can see character actions on custom set pieces that do change every time you enter the main screen, which is an awesome touch to the game. Who the hell does Plessy think he is over there? Lady Liberty? You then enter the save file screen and wow, 3 save files, how revolutionary. Wow, my mind is completely blown. You then are presented 4 player slots, and my god, I never played big rigs, over the road racing. At least that game gives you freedom to do whatever you want and go wherever you want and give you free control, unlike this game, which forces you to use a damn D-pad for a 360-degree 3D game. I need a stick, not math. Now, since we're talking about the menu, we might as well talk about the Switch version of Super Mario 3D World's menu. And the Switch versions is very substantially different compared to the Wii U version. From the start, you have a completely new screen, which allows you to choose between Super Mario 3D World and the new side game, Bowser's Fury. And heading into the game, you are presented a new screen that contains the save files, which is far more simplified than the Wii U's file selection screen. But you are given an extra 4 slot, which, hey, is a nice addition, right? Now let's get into the game's story. The game opens up with fireworks blowing up the Mushroom Kingdom sky, which, wait, does that mean they have a 4th of July? Does that mean the Toads fought against the British for independence? Wait, would that mean the British colonized the Mushroom Kingdom? Wait, did the Toads throw tea in the ocean? Wait, Did Toadsworth fight at Valley Forge? That explains why everybody's speaking English, because they were colonized by the British. What is this untapped lore, Nintendo? Why didn't we know about this? Okay, enough with that. We now find our 4 main characters walking together enjoying the fireworks. Then Toad notices a clear pipe that is broken. Luckily, we have the Italian plumbers themselves fix up the pipe, which is a nice homage to them being, well, plumbers. What? Afterwards, the pipe couldn't contain itself and blasts a fairy otherwise known as Sprixie's, and the green Sprixie is in danger and explains with an image that Dennis Hopper, president of New Dino City, has captured her friends, and with a big blast out of the pipe, Dennis Hopper, aka Bowser, who had to do some genie stuff to fit in that pipe. Like, what? How did Bowser fit through that? I mean, seriously, he's gotta be a genie, right? Bowser captures the Sprixie and leaves. Surprisingly though, he didn't capture Peach. Guess they're having relationship issues. Bowser squeezes through the pipe and everyone goes after him except Luigi, who is questioning his life choices. Don't worry, Luigi. Don't worry, we're in the same boat. Mario gets a nice view and the pipe leads them to a new world, aka the Sprixie Kingdom. With that, we go through all 8 main worlds, freeing the Sprixies one by one. By World 8, in the end, we defeat Bowser and save all the Sprixies again. Yes, again. And with that settled, our heroes then head back home in style. That's basically the entire story of Super Mario 3D World, and yeah, not much to go over, and it's very basic, but at least Peach isn't captured this time around. They at least did something a little bit different. But honestly, it didn't really matter much in the end. Now on to the presentation, and on the surface, it's really just an HD version of Super Mario 3D Land, as both games do look quite similar in style, especially in designs and animations. 3D World on the surface just looks very basic, but when you dig deeper, I think its presentation is great. First off, this was the first 3D Mario in HD, and man, this game looks clean. It looks really nice, and I love it. Things like the lighting on the water, or even just the overall lighting of the levels, like the Savannah levels, just look really good. Now, there's levels where it rains, and they give everything a very plastic and rubbery look, which I think gives the game a bit more of a unique style. The levels just look so alive, and basically every level in the game has a unique theme to it, which I think makes that presentation that much more better, especially compared to, say, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, where all the levels look very similar. Though the only real issue with the presentation is that it does look similar to its predecessor, but I think the game does a good job at making it its own as best as possible with carrying what 3D Land built. The music, as with every Mario game pretty much, is awesome, and that carries on with Super Mario 3D World. The music keeps you on your feet, but also is very laid back in some levels when it needs to be. Now, look, I'm no music expert, but the music keeps the game exciting, which that's how it should go for any video game. Here's some of my personal favorites. Okay, yeah, I know Gussie Garden is Galaxy, but hey, 3D World does a great job of the remixes of classic themes as well. I mean, come on, give me a pass there. Now on to the gameplay, and the gameplay of Super Mario 3D World is pretty freaking great, and that is thanks to the new movesets you are given this time around. So, let's talk about all the moves. First, Mario and the gang are given returning moves, such as jumping, ground pounding, somersaults, spin jumping, wall jumping, crouching, long jumping, and swimming. All of these moves return from previous games, which is great because I'd uninstall if this game didn't have crawling from Mario 64. Wait. Delete! 3D World also brings in some brand new moves to the arsenal. First, the ground pound jump is when right when you hit the ground, you jump immediately, which creates a ground pound jump. Next, you have the crouch jump, which is basically the same as the ground pound jump, except you have to be crouching instead of ground pounding. Next, you can roll, which, yeah, it lets you roll, but hey, don't worry. The roll has a lot of different layers in this game. First, you can mid-air roll, which arguably is probably one of, if not the most useful move in the entire game. It saved me so many times. And you're also given a mid-air long jump, which gives you a greater roll distance. And finally, you can dash, which allows all the characters to fart while they run. Oh, and it gives you extra speed. So, there's that too. Great addition to the game. Strangely, you can't double and triple jump, which is one of Mario's most iconic special moves, but the new additions do make up for it. These are all Mario's base moves, but 3D World also brings in new power-ups along with the old. Starting with the old, we have the Super Mushroom, which turns Mario bigger. Next, the Fire Flower, which lets you shoot fireballs. Then the Tanuki Suit, returning from 3D Land, which allows you to fly and swing your tail. As well as the Boomerang Flower, which lets you throw boomerangs, also returning from Super Mario 3D Land. The Superstar, which turns you invincible, of course. And finally, the Mega Mushroom, which turns you Mega. Along with the old, let's now talk about the new power-ups 3D World brings to the table. The power-ups of 3D World were one of his biggest selling points. First, let's talk about the Super Bell, which turns you into a literal cat. Never thought I'd ever see Italian men in fursuits, but hey, I'm all for it. The cat suit gives you cat abilities. You can scratch, climb, and even dive. Hell, there's even custom animations for a lot of the common moves, which is a really cool touch to make it look like you're an actual cat with this power-up. Aww, look at Luigi licking himself. So cute, right? Aww. How adorable. The Super Bell is a great addition and gives you a new way of approaching levels with the cat abilities. Also, it does have a special variant, which lets you turn into a statue, just like the Tanuki Suit in past games. The second new power-up is the Double Cherry, which simply gives you a clone of yourself. Multiple clones of yourselves, actually, because you can have a max of 4 clones per player. Hopefully those clones don't execute Order 66. Oh look, a clanker! Woohoo! The clones help you solve puzzles intended for multiplayer if you are of the single player. This game has a lot of other quote-unquote power-ups, but they're not technically power-ups. Let's go over them. First, we have the Koopa Shell, which allows you to move around like a Koopa Troopa shell. And depending on the character you use, the color of that shell actually changes to that character's corresponding color. Next, we have the Light Box, which, well, shines light in dark spaces. They're very useful in ghost houses. Next, we have the Cannon Box, and the Cannon Box allows you to shoot out cannons. Shocker, right? And if you hold it long enough, you can perform a supercharge, which does more damage. Next, we have the Propeller Box, which is literally exactly like the Propeller Mushroom from the new Super Mario Bros. Games, which is kind of funny. Why didn't they just add the actual power-up? Who knows, but it does act just like the original Propeller Mushroom. It allows you to fly into the air like a propeller. Then you have the Goomba masks, which turn you into a Goomba, and these actually do work against the Goombas, funnily enough. And they're really pointless, but they're kind of fun. There's also ice skates in some levels, well, mainly just the ice levels, and they're also very fun. And finally, you have the Piranha Plant, which by picking it up will chop anything in your path. It's very useful, especially against enemies that would be invincible without the Piranha Plant. Now let's get into the multiplayer, and Super Mario 3D World's multiplayer supports up to 4 players, which allows you to play as 4 different characters: Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, and Toad. Yeah, Yellow Toad died. He's not here this time around. Rest in peace, Yellow Toad. Rest in peace. All 4 characters control differently and have special, unique moves to them. Mario is the all-around, so he's decent at everything. Luigi can jump high, but he is very slippery. Peach can float with her dress, but she is very slow. And Toad can go supersonic speed, but his jumps kinda suck. This is a huge callback to Super Mario Bros. 2, with all 4 characters being different, which is a good thing. It gives you an incentive to want to be each of these characters because there's pros and cons to all of them. That's a good thing, all the characters being just copy and paste of each other. Now, there's also another character, that being Rosalina, and she is an unlockable secret character, and she can spin jump just like Mario and Luigi can in the Galaxy duology, which is really cool. The multiplayer in of itself is a ton of fun, and is definitely refined in certain aspects, compared to the new Super Mario Bros. Games, like sharing lives, but some may prefer separate lives. The multiplayer is still super chaotic and rage-inducing, and many levels, let's just say, were not designed for multiplayer whatsoever. No way in hell. To make things even more chaotic, there's even a ranking system based on how many points each player gets in that level. Whoever gets the most points gets a crown, which then they get to keep into that next level. Unless somebody comes in and pounds you and steals it, of course, but pretty cool, right? This ranking system gives a more competitive focus on 3D World, and I love that. It adds another layer of dynamic multiplayer chaos. Now onto the level design. And oh boy, Super Mario 3D World knocks it out of the park with its levels. Every single level was honestly a blast to play, and the game never gets stale, and it keeps introducing new ideas, keeping the gameplay fresh. Plus, almost every level in the game has a unique theme to them, making them more memorable than previous games in the series, especially the new Super Mario Bros. Games, because their levels all looked and felt the same pretty much, with a few outliers. Here are some of my personal favorite levels in the game. Shadow Play Alley has you turn into shadows, making a very strange, flat 2D perspective. Sprawling Savannah is a huge savannah, and it's very open. This is the closest you will get to an open world Mario in 3D World. Well, hey, what about me? Hey, we'll get to you later. Hands-On Hall is a Japanese-inspired level. Who would have thought? It's almost like this game was made by the Japanese. And also Grump Lump Inferno, just because of the chaos with friends. It's broken in multiplayer, and that just makes it so much more fun. Hell, there's even a secret level where you get to ride a golden Bowser train. Choo choo! These are some of my personal highlights. Of course there's more, but we'd be here all day. But that just shows how creative and inspired 3D World actually is, despite it looking pretty bland and basic on the outside. All the levels, of course, have secrets, that being 3 green stars and a stamp. The green stars act just like the star coins from the new Super Mario Bros. Games, but they are actually required to get this time around, because some levels require a certain amount of green stars to actually unlock them. This is good because it encourages the player to explore all the levels instead of just blasting through it. Stamps are another collectible added for 3D World, and they basically act as a 4th green star. However, these stamps are actually arts of different Mario characters and items from 3D World in the classic 2D Mario art style that Nintendo would use back in like the 80s and the 90s. And you can actually use those stamps for your Miiverse posts to create different art. And what is Miiverse? It's basically the Twitter of Nintendo. I've come to make an announcement on my Miiverse.com. On the Switch version, stamps are mainly the same, besides the fact that those stamps, instead of them being black and white, are actually colored now, and this is due to the fact that, well, Miiverse isn't on the Switch, so it made sense for them to actually color them in. Stamps are completely optional, but are a nice addition to the game. I guess this isn't really a secret in the level, but you can also get golden flagpoles, just like you could in 3D Land in 3D World, and it's needed for 1%, so make sure you get those golden flagpoles. And finally, the coolest secret you can find in levels in 3D World, in my personal opinion, are the 8-bit Luigis you can find throughout all the levels. Every level has a secret 8-bit Luigi, and this was done to celebrate the Year of Luigi, which was happening during the time of the release of Super Mario 3D World. And 3D World was kind of a Year of Luigi game. And thanks to that, you had a Luigi version of the Mario Bros. Arcade game from 1983, which was the game that Luigi first appeared in, and it's basically Mario Bros. But, well, it's called Luigi Bros. And if you're playing 2-player, you have 2 versions of Luigi you can play as. So, that's a really cool bonus addition they added to 3D World that they didn't need to. There's also levels that are completely different gameplay-wise. Plessy levels star Plessy, who replace Yoshi, and you can swim across the water, or even the sand, riding Plessy. These levels are very exhilarating, and you gotta act quick, because you can easily miss a collectible, or even fall off. There's also Captain Toad levels. Yeah, Captain Toad from Super Mario Galaxy has returned, with a new look, and is now playable for the first time in his levels. Captain Toad levels are very unique. They are small little levels that allow you to change camera angles, and Captain Toad, well, he can't jump, which makes the levels much more interesting with their gameplay gimmicks. The goal is to obtain 5 green stars throughout the level, and then you are victorious. The Switch version also added multiplayer, unlike the Wii U version, and yeah, it doesn't exactly work very well, but it's better than it being single player. Both of these gameplay mechanics spice up the adventure, and they are very fun to play. Now on to the worlds, and the worlds of Super Mario 3D World are as you would technically expect, but with a twist. They are fully 3D, making them more open than past games. This allows for more dynamic worlds and themes, which is pretty awesome. All the world themes are... okay, well, the themes are pretty basic, to be honest. And as you would expect, grass, desert, ice, Arizona, whatever the hell this is, clouds, castle, and a carnival, which is definitely more unique. The worlds do have more secrets thanks to the 3D, like gambling, which this game gave me a gambling addiction, which if you match up the items will give you a certain amount of lives. Hideouts where you defeat a group of enemies. Mystery houses, which are challenges where you obtain a certain amount of green stars. Secret 1-ups around the maps even, and even levels, one of them being a level based on Mario Kart, which is super cool. Damn, they should have made Funky Kong playable. That's not all the worlds, however. There is also 4 bonus worlds, all of which are based in outer space. These being World Star, which is... okay, honestly, it's just a first class and fancier way of saying World 9. World Mushroom, World Flower, and finally, World Crown, which is home to Champions Road, one of the hardest Mario levels of all time. And oh my god, it was brutal. Not even Dark Souls can handle the sheer malice that is Champions freaking Road. Okay, maybe that's too far, but this level is split into different sections, all of which being pretty difficult, especially in multiplayer, with, by the way, 0 checkpoints. Damn, I was hoping to mark my territory. The time limit of this level is also pretty brutal too. The first time I beat the level, I kid you not, I am being very serious, less than 1 second left. That's right, less than 1 second left of the level. I've officially beaten the level twice now, and the second time being with the one and only Mike of the Wise, but it made it so much more painful with another person. This level is not designed for multiple people. I mean, oh my god. Despite the pure brutality of Champions Road, it's a great way to end off the game with a very challenging level to test all of your skills of the game. And for that, I think it did a very good job. And it also did a pretty good job at wanting me to flush myself down the toilet. Regarding beating the game, why the hell do you have to beat every level with every character to 100% the game along with all the other collectibles? Why? It does not make sense. I don't have 5 hands. No, not 5 hands, 10 hands, because you can't play the game with 1 hand, unless you really wanted to, of course, but how? You can't do that. It doesn't make sense. And I don't want to play the game as a mushroom again. I can have somebody else play as a mushroom, though, but not me. I'm good. Get away from me. Get away from me. Now on to the bosses. And the bosses of 3D World are nothing to write home about. And is that really shocking? They're pretty easy. Hell, me and my friend even found a way to cheese the Histocrat boss with the 2 worms. Yeah, all you have to do is balance on each other's heads, and bam, there you go. Repeat that a couple times, and you beat the boss. You don't even have to do it the intended way of going on the plates, and you don't need to do that. My personal favorite boss is the final boss with Furry Bowser. It's not much of an actual fight, but it's very epic and eccentric, with climbing a giant tower, having to avoid Cat Tanuki clone Bowsers, yeah, multiple of those, that chase you down. It's very reminiscent to New Super Mario Bros. Wii's final boss fight, and that's a pretty cool callback. I'll give 3D World credit though. At least the bosses are unique and original, and not just, say, the Koopalings, or whatever. Well, besides your Boom Booms and Pom Poms, but for the most part, you do have some pretty cool, unique bosses. But, again, they're all pretty easy, and there's not really much to really talk about there. They're all pretty basic, really, but they are unique, so I'll give the game that. Now on to the modding scene, and holy shit, there's actually a pretty decent modding scene. Super Mario 3D World contains a lot of bizarre mods, so let's get into it. First off, there are, of course, character mods which bring in different characters into Super Mario 3D World, and when I say that, I mean it. For example, there's a mod called Super Yoshi 3D World that adds Yoshi as a playable character, and it works and looks pretty good. And oh my god, Cat Yoshi? I have a lot of questions, but I'm sold. Hey, at least the blue one isn't here. Blue Yoshi, wait! There's even more character mods, adding Daisy, Waluigi, this monstrosity, skins for already existing characters, and even Sonic the Hedgehog. This being, from what I've seen, the coolest because Sonic does actually get custom voice lines and sound effects, but his looks for the power-ups is insane. The catsuit, for example, turns Sonic into the Werehog from Sonic Unleashed. Hell, Small Sonic is Classic Sonic in this game, and Modern is Big Sonic. That is some really cool generational level of detail right there. And much more, like Super Sonic being the Tanuki form for Sonic. You thought that was cool? There's even a mod that makes all the levels super tiny. This is a fun concept. A mod that combines multiple levels into one? Rainbow Road? And even brand new custom levels using 3D World. Oh, there's even a mod that turns all the world maps into actual levels, which is accurate to reality. I mean, it truly is the Matrix. We're all being controlled, and stuck in a never-ending cycle of, okay, the mod is broken, honestly, and works better in Bowser's Fury, but it's a cool idea. Oh, there's even a bunch of Kaizo troll levels for you psychos who enjoy that kind of stuff. And there's even a mod that contains a section that is a recreation of a bomb battlefield, which is really cool. Now that's what I call a throwback. Not enough to be a galaxy though. Overall, 3D World has a really cool modding scene, and I'd say it has a lot of potential, and I'm really excited to see where the potential of it can go. Super Mario 3D World was again critically acclaimed for its level design, visuals, and multiplayer, but did it leave an impact on the Mario franchise as a whole? Well, despite the game coming out in a very bad time in Nintendo's history with the Year of Luigi, and in the middle of generic Mario hell, I'd say it actually left a pretty substantial impact. A year after Super Mario 3D World came out, Nintendo released Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, a full game based off the Captain Toad levels from 3D World, and it was received very well for its clever design and gamepad functionality, which most Wii U games lacked. The game is built off the engine from 3D World, which is why the games graphically look pretty much identical. Treasure Tracker brought Shy Guys into the 3D World art style. I swear Shy Guys are always the backup guys for Mario's friends whenever Bowser isn't available. Hell, there's even levels from 3D World in Treasure Tracker, and are better designed for Captain Toad's moveset, like not being able to jump, which is really clever. This game actually does connect to 3D World because it's actually a prequel and takes place right before Super Mario 3D World, and shows how Captain Toad actually got into the Sprixie Kingdom, and literally the exact same cutscene from the beginning of 3D World makes an appearance. The game was so good, it got a 3DS and Switch versions in 2018. Before 3D World even got a Switch version. That's ironic. There would also be smaller influences in the Wii U era, like Sprixies being playable in Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, more like Ultra Shit, and in Mario Kart 8, a playable Cat Peach and a cup for the Super Bell, and a subway track based on it. With the failure of the Wii U, Nintendo would release the Nintendo Switch and announce a brand new Mario game, 3D World's successor. That game being Super Mario Odyssey, which went back to the more open level design of 64 and Sunshine, and being a full 180 to 3D World. However, Odyssey does have many references to 3D World and Land. Mario retaining moves like rolling and the ground pound jump, Captain Toad's 3D World design appears throughout the game, and there's even secret Cat Mario and Cat Peach pixel arts you can find throughout the kingdoms. With Wii U ports being rampant, there was still no sign of 3D World coming to the Switch. Hell, like I said, Captain Toad did, so where's 3D World? Well, here it is, baby! Oh wait, why is Toadette here? Well, that's because this is actually Super Mario Maker 2. And it was very cool seeing new assets and elements in the 3D World style, like committing vehicular manslaughter with a Koopa car. Please don't let Turtles drive, please. The 3D World style was so special, it was incompatible with the other themes. That's how different and unique it was compared to the other ones. When will they finally port 3D World over to the Switch? Oh my god, finally! Super Mario 3D World would be announced for the Nintendo Switch in the 35th anniversary Super Mario Bros. Direct, and tease a new campaign? Which intrigued everyone, including me. This campaign being called Bowser's Fury, which would be the full title of the Switch port. Well, part of it, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. And it would be released on February 12, 2021, all over the world, and was once again praised by critics and fans. The Switch version sold much better too, selling 13.47 million units worldwide, and in total, with the Wii U and Switch versions, that's 19.36 million copies worldwide. That's pretty insane. 3D World was given some minor updates like faster running, online multiplayer, and a screenshot mode ripped straight out of Super Mario Odyssey. However, that's not the most important part of the package. It's actually Bowser's Fury, a brand new Mario game built off of Super Mario 3D World, and sort of Odyssey as well. Bowser's Fury is an open world game, yeah, open world, known as Lake Lapcat, where literally everything is a cat. Even Pussy is a cat. It's 3D World on steroids. So basically, there's 100 cat shrines throughout the world on all the islands to collect, and it's very similar to Super Mario Odyssey in that regard. The cat shrines are basically the moons from that game. Bowser's Fury is literally a combination of 3D World and Odyssey. Everything looks 3D World, plays like 3D World thanks to traditional power-ups and movesets, while structurally speaking, is like Odyssey because of the open world and cat shrine system. This making Bowser's Fury literally the next evolution of Mario, with combining both 3D Mario gameplay styles, linear and open, to a grander extent than how they did it with 3D Land and 3D World. That being more linear, but this time, this is more open. And the game does a great job at that because it feels so good to control and so fun to explore all the different islands that have all these different things going on and gimmicks. It's really fun. Now, it's called Bowser's Fury for a reason, because a giant inky Bowser controls the world. Every so often, Bowser spawns in, and oh my god, everything becomes so dark, rainy, and epic, with chaos being unleashed. It's a blast. Bowser has gone so mad to the point where you have to ally with Bowser Jr. Yeah, he kind of forces us to ally with him, and we need to help free Bowser. So we must travel across islands, gaining cat shrines to unlock giant super bells in which Mario goes Super Saiyan, unironically, and man, those boss fights are so good, especially that final fight when you 100% the game. Oh my god, it is so grand, which you don't really see a lot of time with Mario. At the end of the last fight, you fight Bowser with Plessy, and we free him, saving the world. Unfortunately, Bowser Jr. is a dick and ungrateful, so he spat in our face after everything we did. That's the story of Bowser's Fury. It's basically non-existent. But then again, Shadow Generations is basically the Bowser's Fury of Sonic Generations, and that game knocked it out of the park when it came to how they approached the story. Bowser's Fury itself is a very short game, and there's not a lot to really talk about aside from what has been said. It's basically a tech demo to test basically a new direction for 3D Mario, and with that, could be the foundation to a new style that Bowser's Fury introduced. This game, while being short, and Fury Bowser can be honestly pretty annoying since some shines require him, or just makes others not possible when he's around, is a great game, and I hope Nintendo expands upon this open world style with 2D elements in the next installment. In conclusion, Super Mario 3D World is a game that on the surface seems basic, bland, and uninspired, but deep inside is a well-crafted game that expanded upon what 3D Land originally introduced, but made it its own, thanks to its evolved multiplayer, design, power-ups, and more. 3D World may also not be revolutionary like its siblings, but without it, we wouldn't have games like Captain Toad Treasure Tracker and Bowser's Fury. The latter, I'd argue, is very revolutionary for 3D Mario. Hell, 10 years later, Super Mario Bros. Wonder would carry on what 3D World started, like the open hub worlds. And in that same year, in 2023, 3D World would even get representation in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which, I mean, that is pretty significant. Super Mario 3D World spawned a bright future for the Mario franchise, and I can't wait to see where that impact leads next.